Great to have you on the show. You're most welcome here in the On the Money studio. Why did you want to set up your own business? Why not just work for somebody like a normal person?
I think the attitude towards setting up my own business was much less about wanting to start a business and much more about the project itself. I've been working with so many different people in so many different sectors as a freelancer, as a consultant. I ran a media and arts company that helped young and emerging artists build their businesses. And so I was constantly surrounded by all of these people that wanted to work in this way. And it was very, very obvious to me that they didn't really know how to. No one had left education or full-time employment really knowing how to set up a business. And in the UK, we have this massive wealth of skills embedded in our education, but it's very academic because it's used to going into a very linear format of employment. And that's changing very rapidly. So when I was at the end of my university career doing this freelance work and running this media business, I started to look at systems we could set up to help people get through this. And now you'll see that the older demographics are much more successful at moving into being a freelancer or an independent business because they've spent years in a commercial world and understand how to set objectives, often because they've been at quite a high level. Whereas people coming into it now who are looking at this more transient style of work have never had access to that information because they've never worked within companies where they've been at that level to make those decisions. And so UnderPinned, our company, is all about giving people access to that understanding to help them commercialize these really valuable skills within a commercial context.
That's very, very interesting. You've just struck a chord with me, if I may say so, because, of course, for your generation, many more of you are going to be self-employed than even for my generation or my parents' generation, because there's just less 9-to-5 bog standard careers around. That's the way the economy is going. So a lot of people leaving university of your generation, if you like, they are going to have to set up their own businesses. They are going to have to be gig workers. They are going to have to, busk around a little bit. So what you're trying to do is give them a wealth of business experience before they've had any business experience so they can get off on the right foot. Is that about right?
Yeah, I'd like to challenge one of the phrases you used. Use the term gig work. And I think that there's a lack of understanding of the definitions within this economy. And I think generally it's split into three segments. You have gig workers, which is largely competitive on price. You have freelancers, which is skilled freelancers, skilled project-based workers. And you have contractors, which are long-term workers. Usually there's tax structures around the way that they work.
Yeah.
And I'm really focused on that middle segment. People of high value delivering
so
high value projects.
what sort of professions are we talking about? Graphic design, software developers?
If you'd have asked me 8 years ago, I'd have said graphic designers, illustrators and journalists. But now it's not restricted to that at all. We deal with engineers, web developers, consultants, financial advisors, accountants. I don't think there's a sector really that's not being touched by this now. And I think the thing that's really interesting is, whereas we use this term freelancer or self-employed, I actually think it's a slight distraction because the future of work is a blended workforce, or it was called a hybridized workforce before COVID, but now we use hybridized to mean working from home. A blended workforce where people are much more transient. Companies have far fewer full-time staff, but rely on really valuable skilled workers to come and deliver projects. And that's happening across all sectors. Within the creative industries, it's definitely much more advanced, but we're starting to see it across the whole of the economy.
So tell us about UnderPinned. What does it offer? How do you make money? What attracts people to use your services?
So I want to kind of caveat this immediately by saying UnderPinned is a much bigger research project around the future of work. Now, the future of work is not even close to being realized. Our focus on freelancers is because freelancers are very much the early adopters of this new system of work. And so they are the hotbed of education, of where we can learn how we can build better systems. So what we're really focused on is unlocking the potential of these individuals. And their key barriers to entry are, one, how to build a successful business. In other words, how to commercialize their skill set, which is an education piece. So we have an accelerator program we take people through. Two, how to build a network of people that they get their work from. So how do you start to do this lead generation to build a network of freelancers and clients so that you can generate a valuable business around you? And then number three, how do you actually manage your projects, manage your systems? Most people in this economy are very focused on the clients because that's where the money ends up. That's where it comes from in the end, Whereas the freelancers are the place where there's the most exciting opportunity because freelancers, when they are successful, operate like small businesses. So we're effectively creating a simplified system that allows freelancers to operate in the same way an SME would have in the last 15 years.
A small and medium-sized enterprise. So what do people actually get if they use your services, and how do you charge them? Do they get an entry to a website that's got linkages, that's got support structures? Do you have software that helps them do their taxes? Do you help them generate invoices easily?
So we build everything in-house. We have a few people we refer to, but when you sign up, which is £20 a month, you get access to an accelerator program, which is a course that takes through everything you need to know to be a freelancer and teaches you how to use the tools to actually manage your business. Then we give you those tools: lead generation, portfolio development, pitching, project management, network development, CRM management, contracts, invoicing, and then connections to all of the services that you need around that, whether it's insurance or accounting, to make sure that when you are set up with UnderPinned, there is no part of the business side of what you do that's not covered. You can be any profession, from any vertical, from any sector, but you come in and you get all of the software, tools, education, community, network that you need to build something successful around your skill set.
That's interesting, isn't it? And what's the take-up been like? When did you actually start this, Albert? You're still a young lad, if I may say so, but obviously you know what you want to do, you're very focused, and you have had some considerable success. That's why you're here. What's happened so far? When did it start?
So we started in August 2018, me and my business partner, Jack Williams, who looks after me dearly. And he basically, his job is to rein me in. And he's very good
business is neat. You need a kind of vision person.
Exactly.
You need like an architect and a plumber, don't you?
Well, I wouldn't call him a plumber, but sure. But we started in 2018 very much with this research mindset. Like when you start a project like this that's this big and has this much scope, you don't jump in and build something. You try and look at what's going on. So it was a lot of research. And the reason we work so well together is his background was media publishing. So we used content to start understanding the narratives were most important in this industry. And we used this content to then inform what we were going to build. So it's actually only been since January that our main products have been live. Previous to that, it's been lots of testing and learning and researching. And the new university partnerships that you mentioned.
That's why we got you on, because that impressed me, the fact that you're working now with serious universities. They've obviously take you seriously. They obviously think that it's worth having you, presenting you to their students.
My aim is that every undergraduate in the United Kingdom by the end of 2023 will have access to professional education via UnderPinned. But the reason that they're working with us is that their students are asking. You know, the careers and employability departments at universities are very, very geared towards linear employment. And so we've been very focused on telling them, we can offer you the educational content as well as a software system to teach your students the things they need to know to freelance. And their students are asking them constantly. So if I'm honest, the pitch to universities was incredibly easy. They've been jumping at us to get involved because they want their students to have access.
They've got a problem, you're helping them solve it, right?
And ultimately, they're judged based on the employment rates of their students. And if their students are going into self-employment and are not doing very well, that reflects badly on them. So we're giving them an opportunity to open up this massive economic worth, in their students by giving them access to freelancing.
Who's your competition? Is this happening in other parts of the world?
Within the UK, there isn't really any, and we've been getting a lot of interest from big companies and us, mostly because they're looking to the UK and there isn't anyone else operating in this space. In the US, it's a little bit more developed, and there's a lot more money from the kind of marketplace platforms and venture capitalists who are looking to unlock this and pumping a lot of money into projects to try and work out what's going to happen. But within the kind of freelance professional education, most of it's happening at a very grassroots level. So there hasn't really been any significant aggregation like we see in every other sector as it starts to develop and startups start to build. So what we've been really focusing on is, and if I'm honest, I don't want to be the person that is presenting this. I think that actually there is a plethora of interesting people that currently don't have anywhere to be aggregated. And I want to get that diverse group of people and bring their voices together through one platform around the future of the work and the way that people work.
Final question to you, a question I can't answer, but maybe your generation can, Albert. What's the workplace going to look like in 20 years' time? In a country like the UK, a post-industrial, highly educated, technologically advanced, demographically challenged, you might say, country?
I think the most interesting word there is workplace. I think we'll probably remove that altogether. I think that the idea of having a segment of work, a linear part of your life that is work, will disappear. And what will happen is we'll have this much more networky, community-based. Community sounds a bit esoteric. What I mean is people working with multiple people to add value across multiple projects in multiple places. And I think that'll be very globalized. I have no idea what the blended workforce, the future of work will look like exactly. But what I can tell you is if you want to look at the indicators of what it will look like, look to the grassroots of the freelance economy, and that is where there is most to learn.
Albert, I've really enjoyed this discussion, and all the best of luck to you and your business partner, who's not a plumber, with UnderPinned. Albert-Aziz Clauson, great to have you here on The Money, here on GB News. What an interesting young man. We bring you so many wonderful companies